Welcome to Avid Retro. Today I am going to be testing and doing a very crude test of several old PCs. I'm going to start with a slightly newer one, and that is this Dell Precision T1700, and then I'm going to follow it with a T5400, as well as looking at a couple of HP XW8400 workstations. I am not sure what processors I have in the other machines. This one is running a 6th generation i7, I believe. I will check and add the details to the video. But what I want to do is basically have a bit of a clear out. So I need to get rid of some hardware. I'll probably keep this computer, but I just want to keep one more, one of the old kind of Xeon machines. But to do that, I'm just going to run a very basic test using Handbrake to encode a DVD that was captured using DVD shrink. So DVD shrink basically allows you to reduce the size of the disc down slightly. You can also decide just to author the movie part of it and remove any copy protection as well. I decided to copy over a already DVD shrunk folder of Kong. So this is quite a crude test. This is now ready to go into Handbrake and to be reduced down further in size. For this test, I'm going to be using what I believe is the most up-to-date version of Handbrake. This is 1.9.2. I'm not changing anything in the settings, in the advanced settings. I'm only running one job, so I know I could possibly optimize to use the cores of the processors, but I figured this is quite a reasonable way just to see how the Xeons and the other processor copes with encoding and how long it takes. I'm going to be running the default settings as well for Handbrake, so that will be the generic 1080p profile. This is system information for the Dell T1700, and it's in fact a 4th generation i7 with 32 gig of RAM. And this is the version of DVD shrink that I used to get the DVD into a PC image without copy protection. I just used DVD shrink 3.2 and I used the reauthor setting on the disc, which has created me a new version of the disc with just the film and all able to fit onto a standard single layer DVD. Although I've been copying the files over to a memory stick, that is really just so I can save on the processing time by just running Handbrake on the files rather than running DVD shrink on every computer. So back to this T1700, I have just selected Kong Skull Island. So let's click on select, and it's just defaulted to the standard profile. Let's now run this, see how long it takes. It's doing this first pass and then it should go into the second pass. This will give us a rough idea once it gets going. It reckons it's going to take 12 minutes or so, 13 minutes. So you have to let this just run for a little bit of time and then you get a more accurate time remaining. And of note is the frames per second. It says it's 240-ish. It's sort of bouncing around, as you can see. Best to look at the average frame per second, and the average is saying 193. At about halfway through, it's now dropped the average frames per second down to 158, and it reckons there's about 8 minutes 45 remaining, possibly more. So I guess we're looking at maybe 20 minutes for this. The next test is going to be done on this Dell Precision T5400. It's only got DVI out, so I've got to wait for this other computer to finish and then I'll swap it over. It sports a Windows Vista sticker. Hooray! Not running Windows Vista. It's probably running either Windows 7 or Windows 10, I can't remember. Quick look inside if anyone is interested. It's got quite a meaty power supply there. Can't make out how many watts, but it's a lot. Oh, it says it's 875. So this one was used in a previous company that I worked in, and it's got plenty of expansion as well, so can easily have 4 hard disks in here, possibly more actually, if you keep them small. It's got a really kind of cool tilt thing going on here for you to put your disc into. There's even a big chunky fan sat on the RAM behind the disc, and I'm not sure how much RAM I've got in here. Again, I'll have to have a look. It's been a little while, so it's quite an old machine. It's got one processor in there. There is room for a second one and quite a lot of expansion. So this would have been quite useful in a factory environment with lots of different configurations in terms of cards and things available. Last pack tested some 15 years ago. Getting closer to the end, and my guess part way through to say it's probably going to be 20 minutes. It does look like it is going to be about 20 minutes for this film, which is just under 2 hours long. So that was 19 minutes there. There's the file size. This is displaying the bit rate and the data rate. It wouldn't start straight away. It complained that the keyboard wasn't connected, and also the battery as well was not functioning. So I've had to set the date and time. So I should be able to just exit now and then start again. As I copy over the files needed for this test, let's have a look at system info. And here we have a Intel Xeon CPU X5450 at 3 GHz, 4 cores, 4 logical. Looking down, you see the BIOS is set at 2012, and that was the last probably update, and it's also got memory of 12 gigabytes, so somewhat lower than the other machine, but for this test I don't think that's probably the bottleneck. Copying the files from the USB stick to the hard disk seems actually to be quicker than when I was copying them from the PC to the disk on the other computer. So that's interesting. Anyway, this is the setup, so I'm just going to go ahead and install Handbrake. Now it looks like there are some dependencies, so I will have to download this for the software to work. That's a strange error, not seen that one before. Alright, let's try running Handbrake again. Just say no. Hooray! So let's now open the folder and we'll go to the desktop and select. So I'm expecting this obviously to be slower, and you can see it's gone straight to preview 2, the same as the other one did. I've got it on default settings, so let's just start the process. So it does look to be slower on this subtitle scan by quite a lot. Wow, I'm quite surprised actually at how long it's taken this first pass on the subtitle scan. Wasn't expecting it to be 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes for that. This will be the knockout punch though, won't it, of the T1700. How much faster is it? The T5400 is looking at being around 45 minutes for the same DVD encode. This HP workstation looks to be older than the T5400. It's got a sticker on it, designed for Windows XP. Very interesting. This is a really chunky machine. If you think the T5400 is a heavy machine, this one kind of bats it out the park. It really is a mama machine. It's even got a optional key lock on the case. Now if this machine proves to be similar speed to the one I'm currently testing, to the T5400, then this might be the one to keep. The only reason why I'm saying that is although it is a very bulky machine, it does seem to have 2 processors in there. as well as having lots of places to expand and room for 6 discs, believe it or not. So there's 4 in here optionally. At the moment it's just running a SSD as the operating system, and then you've got sort of a bay for your external CD, DVD drive, and then maybe an optional sort of caddy there. Actually, I think maybe there's 3 on the front. Yeah, it's looking like you've got room for 3 on the front there. So this is really quite something. What is that power supply? Let's have a look. It's an 800 watt power supply, so it's in the same ballpark as the 5400, but it's pretty clean in there. Look at this for expansion. Jeez, am I actually looking at that right? It's got SATA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then another 4 SA compatible drives. That's probably what that is. So that's for like a RAID server style hard disk drives. That's pretty good actually. So I could get some cheap discs off the internet, because they always sell for less than SATA, don't they? And plug them into there. Wow, lots of expansion possibilities on this, and it's looking pretty clean actually. It is older, I think, slightly older than the 5400, because it's 2006, so yeah, very much the same kind of age, but it'll be interesting to see how this one copes. Thought you might be interested in what it's got on the inside of the case. So, oh wow, September the 18th, that's actually my birthday. Well, this computer is definitely appealing to me more now. But anyway, let's have a look at this on here. This talks about all the expansion. A huge amount of expansion. So we got, yeah, SCSI, and then which can support 4, and serial ATA as well, SATA, and then talks about some jumpers and things. Obviously expansion here, so lots of expansion there. Old school USB 2, no doubt. I have got a USB 3 card in the T5400, so I could move that across to this one if I wanted to. And then talks about the memory configuration. So I can't remember how much this one's got in it. Getting close to the end, and with just around 5 minutes remaining, it does look like it's going to be on for about 45 minutes. So this does look to be half as quick as the more modern computer. So the average frames per second is 68.4, and it's taken pretty well 45 minutes. So file size, we'll compare that with the other one. We'd expect it to be the same, and details there as well. Let's marvel at the size difference there. These are basically 2 very heavy and big machines. You'd class the smaller one as being pretty big actually, but look at the size of the HP next to the Dell. So we've got a memory module file self-test in one of them. Let's just boot anyway. Looks like Windows 7, doesn't it? Seems to be a bit noisier. The fans are going on this one. Aha! This has already got DVD shrink and Handbrake on it, and I don't know if you can just see that as well. It's got Quake 2 on it as well. It looks a bit of Quake. Alright, let's see if I can load the USB up. This does look rather full, the disk. Into system information and have a look. So the clock's not too far off. This computer's obviously been used a little bit more recently. Far off. That'll do. Let's just get rid of that. Have we got system information yet? We have. Yeah, good. Let's just have a quick look in here. So let's see. This is running 2 Xeon CPUs. So I wouldn't expect Handbrake to make use of both of those, but they are 5160 CPUs, and this does look to have 32 gigabytes of memory, although physically only 26 is available. So if these are in slots of maybe 4 gig sticks, then that would maybe explain why one of them has failed. We just update Handbrake. We want a level playing field, but it's not going to be a level playing field because it says Windows 10 or later is required in order to run Handbrake. So we're going to have to run with an older version of Handbrake. How much older is it? We want it to be as fair as possible, don't we? So first of all, I'm just going to copy over the video from the USB stick. Let's just go about Handbrake. Yeah, this is obviously quite a bit older. It's 1.3.0. Just need to go to desktop and then load the folder. That looked quite quick actually. And then just default settings, so fast. Off we go. Start encode. Wow, that is a lot faster. At past 1 anyway. It does look to be a little slower than the DAO, which is interesting. Now, that could be because this is a older version of Handbrake, and maybe there's some optimizations that have gone in between these versions. There's a good possibility there are some optimizations that have gone on. Now, I would advise, if you're running any of these heavy duty machines that use up huge amounts of energy, the Xeons are very power intensive, best to get yourself some solar panels on your roof, or if you're doing this experiment in the evening, maybe have some batteries that you charge up during the daytime so you can supplement the power supply, because they are very, very hungry computers to run. What's interesting actually is just looking at the time remaining now, it looks like it's going to be pretty well the same as the DAO that I showed you right at the end, and it's taken just short of 45 minutes, average FPS of 64 frames per second. So as expected, file size here is the same and details are in here. I've decided I am going to run the same test on this Think Center. So this is something that was around £30 to me, and it's got an i5 processor. So I expect this to be quicker than what I've just shown you. I've decided I won't run the same test I've just done on the second XW8400 because I think it'll be pretty meaningless and I'll just be repeating the experiment. This is the Lenovo Think Center next. This is my offline machine, which I tend to use for kind of doing a bit of mucking about with firmware and different things. The thing with this one is it might have a virus, so I've got to be careful because I'm obviously plugging in the USB now for it. Just now install Handbrake because I know that's done on there. So here I'm running Windows 10 Pro. It's running on this Lenovo, which has got a i5 6400T. Now, in terms of memory, we're on the low side, so it looks to be around 8 gigabytes. Again, I need to install .NET Desktop Runtime. Okay, so just selected this title again, and that was from the version that I've copied to the hard disk. So now I am ready to roll, as they say. So let's hit Start Encode. So you can hear the fan increasing slightly. It's obviously running a bit faster now, the processor. Well, hey, take off. as we reach the halfway mark, this isn't looking too shabby at all. It's looking on balance slightly slower than the T1700, but for something so small and lightweight and cheap, it's doing a reasonable job. With a few minutes left, it's looking pretty quick actually. It's looking like it's going to come in around the 30-minute mark, maybe 29 minutes actually. So it's going to come in under 29 minutes, and the average is 100.6, 0.7. Yes, 100.7 frames per second. There's the file properties. This is a HP Pavilion Slimline. It's got an AMD processor, so I thought this would make an interesting comparison. So let's power it on and get the files copied across for this test. What's nice about this little computer here is that it might be okay for some basic retro gaming with a less demanding operating system put on it. At the moment it has got Windows 10 on it. The good thing as well is it has a memory card reader slot, and it takes some old formats including memory stick and XD. Looking at the system information, it's running Windows 10 Pro. It is a x64, so 64-bit computer, AMD Athlon 2X2 215 processor, and it looks like it dates back to around 2010, or that's at least what the BIOS is reporting. The physical memory is only 3 GB. Okay, that old chestnut again. So basic profile again. Let's give this one a test now. So already done the first pass, into the second pass now. So we're just over halfway now. The average frame per second is 30.4. We're nearing the end now. This Pavilion Slimline is a S5300 UK model, and it's done it in quite a long time. Oh my gosh. So I won't be using this one for Handbrake, but probably okay for old PC games. So we have file size, looks fine, and details, looks fine. That's what it spent all its time doing. So I've got multiple versions now of this video. It's been interesting to see the differences, and it is, as you would expect, modern stuff is always going to process video better, but it's nice to see what some of the older stuff can do. Well, I decided I'm just going to strip this computer down because it's way too slow and impractical to keep, and I had a look at the discs to see what's inside. This is the one that it seems to be connected to, SSD for the operating system. And then I found this disc which wasn't connected, but it was stuck underneath the DVD drive. I've been able to take this all out, and I will examine this disc and see if there is anything interesting on it. Well, I thought you might be interested. I decided to keep the dowel over the two HP XW8400s, and I did think about obviously the bigger machines because you've got the extra capacity for the different hard disk drives, so the SAS ones as well as the SATA. I just thought, well, I probably won't get around to using them, and it will just be a waste of space keeping them, and also the energy demands. The fact is, those XW8400s have got slightly slower processors, and they're running 2 Xeons as well, so obviously a lot more power hungry than this one in the Dow, so I just decided basically to keep this one. It's already got the caddies for the ability to swap in drives and clone drives, which I thought was quite handy to have. And then obviously I've got space for another disc in there. I'll probably swap a SSD for the operating system on this one, but otherwise it looks like it's, you know, it is in good condition. Just checking to see if I can do anything with the RAM, because I think it is probably the same. It looks like I might be able to up the RAM slightly, because I've got two 4 gig ones in there, and then I've got two 2 gig, so I might be able to up that slightly. But looking at the board, the capacitors all look good. They don't look swollen. That was the other thing that kind of put me off keeping hold of the one that looks okay at the moment, the other HP, and that was because it did have swollen capacitors. And that doesn't kind of bode well for the future, and I don't fancy taking these apart to just sort of change the odd capacitor here and there. I've got plenty of other things to do. It's my decision, and I'm going to stick by it. What I'm going to do though, I'm going to basically take the hard disks out that I've got on the XW8400s and also the graphics cards. So this one, the Dell's running quite a low one here. I'll put the W5100 into here. In fact, I didn't realize that I have got extra slots in here for memory, so I am going to fill them up as much as I can. That looks like I've got 8 slots in here. I will give this a bit of a blast because it's very dusty. That's the memory installed. I've got another battery here. This battery I think is dead. It keeps trying to set the time. Good, that's in there. This is an AMD Radeon. This is a AMD as well. I've still got the nice protective film on there. It's a Fire Pro, so this supports multiple monitors. I think this supports, yeah, four monitors. Probably worth, what, 20 quid these days? Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll make some more videos in the future. Bye for now.